Yeah, I just wanted to say that it really irritates me that South Park would say that red-haired people don't have souls, okay? Because we do have souls, alright? Teachers have souls! I go to church, I'm a Christian. You don't know me. You're not God.
You've come a long way, Lauren.
You
You
YouTube video.
like from your very first video back in 2010. I think you've come a long way, man. Like,
thank you.
I just want to congratulate you on that.
You don't know me.
I've never been able to figure out if that was actually like him. I would feel bad if he was really getting bullied, 15 years ago when that video came out. Yeah. But I think it was a joke.
I think it was self-aware.
I think it was self-aware too. But
I mean, gingers don't have souls, so how can he be self-aware?
Oh gosh. Okay, I don't know what to think about this one.
It's kind of true.
I don't know what to think of that. Well, welcome to the live show, everybody, and Lauren. So as we kick this off, typically, I think a good start is to tell everybody, like, who the hell are you? Why are you here?
I ask myself that every day. Existential question. My name is Lauren. I make Wheel of Time videos, specifically animated videos and deep dives, and I don't know, whatever I fancy every week. Lately, I've been doing episodic breakdown videos that I've been quite enjoying, though they what little soul I do have, they seem to be taking it away from me.
So Lauren makes the best Wheel of Time stuff on the internet. I've said that for a while. You may want to make sure you follow him real quick here. Thank you, Grumpy. Both of you keep up the hard work. Love talking Watt. It's funny because Grumpy hates the show almost into its entirety, but he seems to have liked episode 7. So I'm interested. And we have the wig. So thank you. As we're talking about Lauren, before we get into, we're going to talk all about episode 7 today.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit towards the end about the next episode of the season finale. But before we do that, assuming I can navigate my little windows here, I want to play you guys some, if you have not checked out Lauren, you absolutely need to. He's really, really good at what he does. So let me show you a quick clip of one of his latest videos. Here we go.
If one of these people is the Dragon Reborn, he or she will have the potential to either correct the sins of the previous dragon and defeat the Dark One, or if the Dragon Reborn joins the Dark One, as Moraine said, the earth itself will burn, and when a new age comes, it will be built upon the ashes of the places and people we love. Even worse, if the Dark One manages to get these powerful Taviran on his side, the entire pattern could unravel, and reality could cease to exist.
Okay, so like you see those animations, how they kind of seamlessly blend in with the show's animations, how you couldn't tell which were which. That's because Lauren's really damn good at what he does.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I got you to blush. But seriously, you all should. And the thing with Lauren's content is that because it's so high quality, it takes a long time to make. Is that an understatement? I mean,
yeah, and I've gotten a lot better. It's funny. It doesn't take that long. It's just that on top of everything else I do during my life, it's like I got to do it during the wee hours of the morning, so it very quickly consumes me. But yes, it's a labor of love for sure, and I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist. I'm trying not to be during the show, trying to just get stuff out as quickly as I can. But
well, you're doing a good job. Everybody, make sure you go back and watch his stuff. And I'm going to play real quick. I'm going to play another thing. Lauren and I have collaborated actually on videos before. Most recently, we collaborated on a video that's on his channel. That's like a whole recap of the Eye of the World. I play a very small part in that. I'm like at the very end of it. So you probably, if you started watching it, you might not have made it to me. But he did an absolutely amazing job of putting that together. And then we collaborated like a year and a half ago on a Battle of the Two Rivers video, which I think at this point is like the second highest viewed video on my channel. So like, obviously, awesome. That was awesome. But we have another one coming up. Let me show you guys a clip from that in case we have a lot of new viewers that maybe didn't know that stuff exists. Let me show you what Lauren and I did. This time, the Trollocs move upon the village from both the north and the south, splitting their force into 2 equal groups, each consisting roughly of 1,000 Trollocs and 25 Murdral. The town was defended by 100 or so bowmen on each of its lines, followed by men lining the stakes in a group that barred the entrances to the town. There were 6 catapults built at the center of the town, facing both directions and manned by the Aes Sedai. The women and tinkers were assembled at the center of the green, also with 400 or so white cloaks sitting in reserve to fill the line where needed. The Trolloc armies attack at the same time, charging towards the defenders of Emond's Field from both sides. The defenders fire arrows and catapult shots into the armies of Trollocs, killing many, but their numbers were far greater than the first attack, and the Trollocs managed to reach the barriers of the city, where the defenders are forced into hand-to-hand combat. The lines of defenders begin to bulge, and sensing that the lines are going to break, Perrin orders a retreat further into the village. Boom. I did the easy part there. I did the voiceover, all those little cool things. That was Lauren. So I just wanted to point that out. Like we've done, and we may or may not, once the conclusion of the season comes out, have another one of these put together for you guys. We actually kind of had it ready or close to ready like a month ago or longer than that. But we just decided the show let's just push it off. So but yeah, let's hit. We got some comments. Awesome work, Lauren. Thank you, Antoinette. And Grumpy back again, man. Your episode 7 was entertaining and 8 looks sweet, but episode 1 I will never watch again. I told you, Grumpy is Grumpy. That's it's a fitting name. Well, so all right, Lauren, let's talk about episode 7. That's what we're here for. Let's get into this. What were your general thoughts? Like, I guess I haven't really talked to you live for the whole season. So, like, before we specifically jump into the details of this, like, what's your perception of the season so far? Like, where are you at with it?
Yeah, it's been a busy time, huh? I think the last time we talked in person was before you went to London, right? So it's been a while.
Probably like the week before or something like that. Yeah,
it's been crazy. Well, I gotta say, after the premiere, because I was fortunate enough to be sent by Amazon to Denver, and I got to host the Denver premiere, which was, there was no blue or red carpet, but it was still a lot of fun to get to meet a bunch of fans and hang out. And literally they sent me there to do that just so that I could stand on stage for like 2 minutes and say, "Are you guys excited?" And then I sat down and we watched. It was a really awesome experience. But I have to say, after I saw those first 2 episodes, there was a little bit of sweat. I was a little nervous, and I can't lie. Like, there was some of it that I was like, I know they've been preparing us for changes for a really long time, and I thought I had come to terms with that. I think what I wasn't expecting is some of the certain deviations and choices that that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And since then, my whole purpose of my channel is to try to explain the episodes for new fans who haven't read the books. At least that's what I've been kind of going for with my episode breakdowns. And so I'm sitting making notes and I'm trying to find every single positive thing I can, because I'm trying not to be the review guy who's just like, "Oh, I hated this and this sucked." Believe me, I get plenty of that in my comments. I'm sure you do too.
No, never.
So, I try to put kind of those rose tinted glasses on as I do the show, because this is a first season. They had so much to introduce, and I want the show I want to get to the end. I want to get to that last battle.
Yeah.
I want to get to the final conclusive stuff. And maybe some of the little roadblocks along the way or the milestones along the way won't be the same, but that's my hope, is that we do get there. Because the worst case scenario to me is the show is not well received, gets canceled, and then we never get an adaptation of the Wheel of Time,
Yep.
And so that's where my head is at. It's like, okay, yes, I do have concerns, but I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to point out the things that I find pleasing about the show. Episodes 5 and 6 in particular, loved the writing. I thought that some of the character moments were really interesting, but in the back of my head, there was that little voice again that was like, what about the main characters? Like, is this all about Steppen and Lan and Moiraine? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I was like, when are we going to get the main characters? That's what I want. They felt like they were put very much on the back burner for me. Episode 7 for me was a huge relief. It was like a big sigh of relief. It was like, oh, finally we're back on track. We're going to the eye. Yes, the way we are getting to the eye is different from the books, but we're finally there. We know who the Dragon Reborn is. I don't know. For me, it was like, okay, now I'm in it. And I cannot wait for the finale because of that.
Well, and I want to, Jeff, I'm going to pick on you, Jeff Salas here. If they don't fix this, that's exactly what will happen. I want to be clear. I have not, I know people accuse me of being a shill. I've had definitely had criticisms of the show. I've not been shy about criticisms of the show. But as much as I think this is difficult for book readers, I've been very much acknowledging this for people, but I'm going to flip this around, guys. For everybody who's sitting there saying, oh, I don't know, if they don't fix this stuff and get it turned around, it is the #1 show in the history of Amazon Prime.
Right.
Okay. There's not been a show that has, and I'll tell you the behind the scenes figures is the watch through rates on the show have been an all-time high. So what that means is that when Amazon, they look at this on the back end, when somebody starts it, do they finish the episode? Those numbers are the best that Amazon has ever had. Okay. Right. So regardless of my criticisms about why did they change this and I'm mad, why did they do that, and I didn't like the CW style drama, take that out of it for a minute. For non-readers, people love this show. I literally am finding people that did not know I do what I do, that are like walking around the office. Hey, are you guys going to watch Wheel of Time? It's so good. Like, whoa, it's that type of, we're not at Game of Thrones cultural level. We're not there right now. Okay. Right. Who knows where we'll go with that. But the point is that non-book readers love this. And whether you as a reader or not like it or don't like it, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to tell you what to think of it. Be pissed off about it if you want.
Yeah.
But don't say that they need to change what they're doing or else it's going to be off the air and because that's BS. It's not happening. Like, right. It's not true at all.
one of the biggest frustrations for me in my comments is, look, people are going to call me a shill. Fine, whatever. They can call me that. I mean, I kind of want to wear a shirt that just says shill on it. Like, right. Whatever. But that being said, like, I'm not getting paid by Amazon. Like, yes, they sent me to Denver for one-time trip. But other than that, I'm not getting paid. Like, this is all me doing this because I love the Wheel of Time. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited for new Wheel of Time content. But I have to say, one of the things that does rub me the wrong way, because I review the show positively and I don't choose to focus on the negatives, people call me dishonest.
Yeah.
And that annoys me simply because it's like, so you're telling me that because I don't share your opinion, I'm not being honest. You know, like, art is subjective. And there's a lot to love about this show. No, it's not the books. But aside from that, it really is a lot of fun. I cannot tell you how awesome it's been to talk to people in my office. Like, we are having this water cooler talk about who's the Dragon Reborn. And it's the best thing ever. I can't believe I'm talking about that to people that I know from work. It's amazing.
I literally got a text. 10 minutes before we came on. It was a friend, not meaning to text me about Wheel of Time, just out of the blue. And first of all, I would say a casual, like somebody that I don't talk to often, does not know I have a YouTube channel. In the conversation says, "Hey, are you watching the Wheel of Time? You should check it out." And I said, "Actually, yeah." And he goes, he's like, "It's awesome." He had not seen the last episode yet, and he goes, "I'm thinking it might be the redhead that is the Dragon Reborn, maybe." Like, he's trying to strike up water cooler talk so we could speculate. He does not know that I do this. So
that's amazing.
The point being is like, whether or not you have that opinion, you're entitled to it. I'm not going to gatekeep you and tell you what you have to and what you don't have to like.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to ever do that. You're welcome to hate the show. You're even welcome to watch the show, which apparently a lot of people are doing. They hate it so much they can't stop watching it. But you can't argue with the numbers, and I'm always going to come back to that. Like, I work in a business. You can't argue with numbers. So your feelings mean nothing compared to the numbers. So, Samuel, I think it's also very hard to introduce Wheel of Time in only 8 episodes. Totally agree, and we will talk about that. Plus, 1 season is more than just the Eye of the World, which I think they've done well overall. Love y'all's channels. Appreciate that, Samuel. You're absolutely right about that, and I do want to talk about that. But I just thought that was worth addressing up front, because I agree with you. Like, if I had to give an overall score this moment for the season, I'm sitting at like a 7.75 for me.
That's almost exactly where I am too. Yeah.
It's not everything I've ever wanted, and honestly, there hasn't been one episode yet that has left me like floored, like, oh my gosh, that was so good.
Yeah.
There have been episodes where there were moments in the episodes that I thought that was so good, but
right.
I've not had a good episode. Like, that's why even episode 7 I thought was very good. I thought this past episode was the best of the season so far, but I could not quite give it a 9 out of 10. Like, I just could not get there. Because I don't feel like it's up to that level yet.
Right.
And I will say this, and I want to bring this into the conversation, and then we can start breaking down the episode. But I watched The Witcher 2. I binged the second season of The Witcher, which was I liked the first season of The Witcher. Like, it was okay, like entertaining enough that I would watch it, but not like amazing.
Yeah.
Witcher season 2 was a vast improvement on Witcher season 1. Like, vast improvement on it. Night and day better. And the production values were higher, the acting was better, the plot was easier to follow. And I say that for this reason. I don't mean to say, hey, let's talk about The Witcher now. But primarily, I want people to understand, like, The Witcher season 1 was the best, it was the most popular series in the history of Netflix. Netflix saw what happened and were like, well, unload the money truck.
All right.
Go to town. They already kind of did that for Wheel of Time, but this is the type of reaction from season 1 that is going to cause them to be able to do more. Because I would argue, and I don't know if you agree with this, Lauren, I would argue that most of my problems with season 1, aside from a few choices they made that I just thought were stupid, most of my criticisms stem from the fact that we cut too much out. In the sense that little scenes here and there, like episode 1, like we needed 5 more minutes of them arguing with their parents about leaving, or establishing why those 4 needed to leave, right? We were missing that, which I think hurt the pacing, and it made it feel a little less consistent.
Yeah. I've said this before, but first of all, I see season 1 as a prologue. That's how I see it. To me, a lot of the stuff they chose to do in this season is set up for payoff way later. And so in that regard, I'm excited about it. And Rafe has said, we're thinking about adapting the entire book series, not just The Eye of the World. And to me, that really shows through.
Yeah.
The problem that I have is exactly what you said. The keeping things out, or let's be honest, this season looks like there was a major pandemic in the middle of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, there are some things related to, like, even sets and budgets. As awesome as like the Tar Valon set was, it felt to me like it was a very closed set the entire time they were indoors.
Yep.
When they get to Faldara, it immediately felt bigger to me. The interior sets felt bigger and more open to me, but the interior Tar Valon stuff just actually kind of felt very close. So I could see that there were problems with certain budgetary restraints, definitely COVID, obviously Barney Harris leaving. They had to make some weird choices related to that. I mean, you can hardly fault them. My question is what you said about The Witcher season 2. Do you think that that quality improvement will show in season 2? Or do you think it's going to take a little while, since they're already way into filming season 2 at this stage?
So 2 reasons. 2 reasons I say that. Number 1, they already knew what they had. I'll just say this. From my conversations, one of the cool things about going to London was getting to meet some of the people behind the scenes. They were genuinely excited about what they had. Does that make sense? Like,
that's good.
They were genuinely excited about the product. In fact, to the point that, I mean, the head of Amazon Studios was there. I think Daniel interviewed her. She is very excited, like very excited for this season. I think that it lived up to their expectations, knowing some of the challenges. And so I think they already had some of that money. And keep in mind too,
awesome,
Jordan Studios was a big part of that budget.
Right. And now it's there.
And now it's already there. So, there's pieces in there that we don't need to go back and rebuild sets or redo this. And they're building sound stages. So I think that it will do nothing but expand. I mean, think about Game of Thrones season 1. Like we had a couple indoor sets, right? Like there were a couple of them,
right?
And it got bigger and bigger as the seasons went on. So I say that because now they have the sets. I think that's one piece. Number 2, they're not done finishing season 2 right now either. So if they decided to, they could throw more money at it. And the third thing I would say to that is they also post-production work, right? You of all people knows
right.
This
they could inject a lot more money into that for sure.
Because I would argue some of the CGI looks weaker. Some of it looks amazing. Some of it looks pretty weak.
Yeah.
And so Rafe did mention that part of that comes from that they were also working from home trying to do the
right.
CGI, right?
Right.
The COVID shutdowns really hurt the production. It hurt The Witcher too. They talked about it. Like they think it hurt their final product. That's something that's real. Real quick, let me hit some of these comments. Beth, thank you. You're always awesome, Beth. Nae'Blis and Unraveling the Pattern. How likely do you think that they're going to release extended versions of season 1 for what? Love your live streams. What do you think, Lauren?
Well, I do feel, we've talked about pacing. I do feel very strongly that you mentioned that the executives are excited about it. I actually get the feeling that because they're so excited about it, they're meddling just a little too much for my taste, personally. And not to say that executives are all bad, but to me, especially that pilot episode felt like it was made by committee. And I don't know why there's this pressure to keep the episodes exactly 55 minutes to an hour. There are probably lots of reasons for that. I'm sure there are so many analytics for that. But to me, I think those are some of the things that they're going to learn and tweak. As you mentioned, there's a lot of reasons why season 2 can be better in quality. Another reason is Rafe and all the team of writers and all them have way more experience now. They got that first season under their belt. Not to say that Rafe was inexperienced, but he kind of was on a show of this magnitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there were all those kinks that they had to work out, all those issues that they had to deal with. And now I feel like you're right. It's kind of like they've gotten past that. They've got Jordan Studios. Even if they have the same budget, they can put it into things that they didn't have to do for the first season. So as far as extended releases, I would love that. I'm not holding my breath on that. I don't know if it's not like Lord of the Rings where they just have an extended cut there ready to go, but maybe.
I think the answer, sorry to break this to everybody watching, the answer to this is an unequivocal no. Because Rafe basically said he wrote 10 episodes. He wrote longer stories. They didn't film longer stories. So like those things only exist in imagination. There isn't really an extended version out there. So there may be a few scenes here and there, but they did not. There's not 6-minute scenes that you're going to get added into the show. You know, that those don't exist. They just didn't film them. Alan says the problem book fans have is they expect action adventure, and Watt is apocalyptic fantasy horror political thriller with some action adventure. I would actually add to this, Alan. I agree with you, but I think Brandon Sanderson put this really good. He addressed this in a live stream he had talking about the Wheel of Time show. He said the books basically break down into 3 genres. You've got the quest style adventure, traditional fantasy, which are books 1 through 3. Books 4 through like 7 are the political, like, that's where Robert Jordan started flipping some of the tropes and getting into the wider world building. Books like 8 through I think 11 or 8 through books 8 through 11 were where basically Robert Jordan decided he got bored with his main plot line, according to Brandon Sanderson, and started exploring all the side characters and why the plot expanded. And then you have the finishing books. And so he says, like, the weird thing with adapting Wheel of Time is it's a bunch of different genres in one gigantic series.
Yeah.
And I see that. I think that's absolutely a valid point. They have the best prologue in all of fantasy that they didn't do. Well, I would say, Grumpy, hold on to your horses for that one, because I think you'll get that in the very next episode.
I think so.
We'll get to. But I would also disagree with you here, because as much as I like the prologue, I would argue from years of trying to get people to read this and running a channel about this, the prologue is probably the most divisive plot in either world. More people read it and go, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because it goes from that tonally to a guy and his dad walking on a road in a village, and it's just like, what? I don't get it. And it confused people. And a lot of people put the books down.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I agree with that entirely as much as I do. I like the prologue, but I would also say, hold on, I think you're going to get that next episode. Well, let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and play a clip here, and then we'll talk about this. This is a clip from the show that I think I think universally acclaimed here. I don't know that anybody's going to hate on this, but hey, we'll find somebody that will, I'm sure. Here we go. All right. That cold open
Ginger
was
Ninja.
Awesome.
Yeah, so awesome.
I feel like universally acclaimed. I didn't see many people that were honestly that upset. I just see this question, David, why does Tigraine have red hair? Because a lot of the monarchs of Andor actually did have red hair, red gold hair. What are Morghese and Elaine color hair? Gingers.
Right. And considering how they're introducing her, I think it was a smart move. I mean, of all the changes, that's a very minimal one that I'm totally fine with. You know?
Yep. I think it was interesting. Now, they did not give much backstory here. So again, I'm looking at this from a show not tell standpoint. I know what's happening. The moment I saw the snow, I was like, okay, blood snow. Right. By the way, we're going pretty heavy spoilers here. So if you're watching, that's kind of how I usually do things. This is not the Dusty Wheel where I'm gonna. Yeah, we're going spoilers. So feel free. But like I saw the snow, and all of us book readers were like, "Oh, that's the blood snow," which honestly we never actually even see in the books, which is interesting. Like we get it talked about, but we don't see this. But like I thought this scene awesome.
Yeah.
Well, like set the tone for the episode for sure because
so good
of that sword at the end.
Yes. Well, and the follow up to that scene too, later, you know, after it's sort of revealed that Rand is like, he's kind of known the whole time, and Min sort of confirms to him, yeah, you're the dragon. Like after all of that, you see that flash of his father taking off his helmet and helping her give birth. I love that moment so much because this idea that the Aiel don't kill when they're unmasked and he unmasks himself. Love that. I love that little detail.
Oh yeah.
And obviously it's a face reveal. Like that's why they did it. But I think it has a double meaning, which I really appreciated. I got to say, as far as that scene goes, I mean, just so good. So awesome. That's everything I wanted to see. I didn't, this is such a stupid nitpick, but I did notice that there's more than one guy with 4 yellow rings on his sleeves, which means there's more than one first commander of the companions.
Yeah. I catch some things like that too. There every now and then.
There are a lot of little tiny inconsistencies that absolutely do not matter. I was going to say, when you were talking about budgets and stuff, you know, those scenes outside of Rand and Matt's inn room when Nynaeve is talking to him about Egwene, they're like sitting on that little bench outside of their room. That's the Emmons Field winter. That's the Wine Spring Inn set. It's little things like that I noticed because I pour through this shot for shot. The Wine Spring Inn, I did a ridiculous breakdown of that, which I don't even know why I did, but I got to know that set so intimately by doing that now whenever I see even walls from that set being reused in other scenes, I'm like, oh, they're reusing that. And I noticed that.
Which I wonder how much of that is in other shows too that we just don't.
It is. It absolutely
like, I'm
is.
sure it is. We have Johnny. Thank you again. Thank you here. If the internet had existed in 1990, these same clowns would have been flaming RJ as too liberal. The 1990s version of woke. They absolutely would have. Most people that shout stuff don't even know what they're talking about. Anytime somebody says woke to me now, I just kind of, okay, your opinion no longer matters.
Oh, I have a whole video coming out about that. I've done some in-depth analysis, and I can guarantee you that I have found many examples of why the show is too woke. I can't wait to reveal that to everybody.
So woke. Beth again. Thank you, Beth. She filmed that with a prosthetic Prager stomach. Can you imagine how much that threw her balance off at first? She is a goddess. I can't actually imagine it. I have never been pregnant. Although if you do listen to Tarvalin After Dark, I am offering to bear your children if you become a patron of Tarvalin After Dark. So kind of an ongoing joke. WL, thank you. Magdalena Satova definitely deserves some kind of award, and wig. Thank you for the wig. And I agree with you 100%.
Agreed. Who knew that she was such a great stunt person and could act? I mean, her acting was so phenomenal.
Well, and that brings up the whole veil thing, because that's the one criticism I saw people trying to find something to criticize it. Were like, she pulled her veil down, and it's like, well, yeah, she's trying to give birth, and then they attacked her. And yes, honestly, a real Yael from the books might have pulled their veil back up, but this is still TV. We have to see it. If she had her face covered the whole time, I think we lose a lot in that scene of her struggling with going through labor. Like, so.
By the way, I don't know if you saw the background or the behind the scenes video about this scene.
They
talk about this incredible camera that what's the name of the director? Kieran Donnelly or something?
Kieran Donnelly, yeah.
Kieran Donnelly. He said every time he does a TV show, he tries to convince them to let him use this really expensive camera, and they've never let him until this episode for that scene. And so they got this really insane robotic camera that could just like move ridiculously fast, and it shoots like thousands of frames per second. And they were able to get these amazing shots like flying through her fight because of this amazing robotic camera. It's really cool. You should check it out. I was super impressed by that.
That is pretty cool. Let's shift. I want to talk about the ways for a minute, because I have very mixed feelings on the ways. Very mixed, because there are things that I loved about this sequence, and then to me it's like, it's not so much anything specifically that I did not like as much as the omissions that I did not like.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
So I thought the look of the ways was awesome for the most part. I mean, I wish we had gotten a much larger shot of it so we could show how tiny they are in the spectrum of like this, right?
Agreed.
But I thought it was cool. It had the vibe. The torches didn't carry much light. All that. It was creepy. Yeah. I thought the lightning, obviously that was a change, but it was a cool change. It made it more ominous.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty lame if it's just like a quiet void.
Yeah, I think that sounds better on paper than it would have been in reality.
Right. The oppressive nature of the ways where the darkness sort of creeps in on you and pushes against the light, that's a cool thing to think about, but visually it's so boring. You know?
Agreed. Here's my beef. Last episode, I got criticized by my Tarvalin After Dark colleagues because I was upset that with the Waygate change, primarily because if you have to channel to open the Waygate, which we'll get to because I know we don't necessarily have to, but only from background stuff. Right. But if they did not explain the ways to people, I think that it's just a MacGuffin, basically. It's let's do this to go here, and then we'll be done with it, right?
Right.
And there is a backstory to this, and there's a lore behind it. And I thought, okay, well, they'll address it in this episode because it's a great opportunity for while they're walking through for Loyal to explain all of this.
Yep.
Right now, I would cut Loyal. Like, I would not had I known what they were going to do with him so far, I would have just cut Loyal's character entirely, because he hasn't done anything. Right. He hasn't contributed anything. And there's no real connection right now for the Ogier that's been explained in the world of the show about why the Ogier have any connection to the ways whatsoever. Am I off base on that?
No, I'm right there with you. The thing I was most looking forward to in The Dark Along the Ways was a minute scene of Loyal doing his like exposition that we've all been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an opinion that I don't like shows that dump a bunch of info on us. I don't like shows that are heavy with exposition. But if anything, with the Wheel of Time show, I don't know, maybe it's hard for me to tell because I'm a book fan, but if anything, they're going too far the other direction. They're not explaining anything enough to me or to the audience. And when they have a chance to, they just do it wrong. For example, when the Waygate shuts and they're like, hey, we got to go back out there and get Matt. And Loial says that would be impossible. Channeling would be impossible. Right. He says that. Hard stop. And then they're like, what? And then he's like, to do so would call Mashin Shin, or, the Black Wind. But a lot of people who aren't readers of the books did not catch that second half of that sentence. And they just assumed, oh, you can't channel in there for some reason. Right. But then there's channeling later. And it's like very confusing to people. And it's not necessarily because they didn't explain it. It's because they didn't explain it well. And I would have liked to see just a little bit more exposition. I also wanted to see something with Loial talking about ta'veren.
Yep.
And we didn't get it. And I agree with you. Loial has been underutilized so much that it almost hurts. I wanted to see him crying over the groves or feeling some sort of connection with the ways. And he did say something about there used to be trees here. Isn't that nice? But I wanted it to be like an emotional connection or something, and I was disappointed.
But why were there trees there? What were they used for? Why did the ways exist? Why do the Ogier have a connection to them? What happened to them? What is all of that could have been explained. And see, here we go, Loial's library. How dare you? I'm not actually advocating to cut Loial. What I'm saying is if this is all they were going to do with him, then he is just there for fan service.
Right.
But the reality is they could have done, all they needed was a minute or two of Loial giving backstory. That's all they needed.
Right. Even 30 seconds. Yeah.
And so that was a major disappointment to me, because then the other result of that is I felt like I don't think we should have spent the whole episode in the ways, or even half the episode in the ways. But in an episode called The Dark Along the Ways, that we spent like 9 minutes in the ways, is like, it just felt, okay, wait a minute. What? We were just in and out.
Right. And that's another thing that was confusing to people. Book readers were expecting that they were going to the Fal Dara Waygate. And they didn't clearly state that that's what they were or weren't doing. And so when they're like, it's going to be a day from this guiding, and then suddenly the Black Wind shows up and they have to run. And they're like, how close to the gate? How close is the gate to Fal Dara? And he's like, well, it's closer, but they never really clarified. They were trying to get into the eye. They were trying to go directly to the eye, and had to be diverted. And just one little line tweak could have communicated that so much better.
Exactly. It's nothing that was in there that I really hated. I actually even liked the little slight change to the Black Wind and how it does things. Rather than say creepy shit, it said it basically played on anxiety, which I loved. I loved that. Yeah. Because also, if you know anything about where the Mashin Shin comes from, it's basically a manifestation of the taint, which it would drive you crazy, right? That is, it makes sense that it would do that. I was totally cool with that change. I was even cool with Nynaeve's little bursty thing once I've gotten around the idea that that's how they're going to she got angry and she did something and whatever. I was cool with that.
And especially because it just told her she couldn't protect her friends. So what does she do? She protects her friends. Of course, it makes sense in the context, but I feel like I'm being nitpicky here. I loved this episode, and I do think it was probably my favorite. It's just that to me, and I hope that these are things that they'll kind of take into account for the next season, they could just do a little bit better job helping people understand certain details. At the same time, I get frustrated with people in the comments of my videos who talk about all these nitpicks, because I also understand that the show's not over. There are many episodes to go where they can continue to explain things. And I've talked about this before. It's questionable to me whether or not it's good or bad writing that they count on so much of the online trivia and extra features to explain stuff. I mean, the books do that. You have glossaries in the books because sometimes not everything can be explained during, dialogue or whatever. But I don't know, in the show, I feel like it's a little bit of a weakness of the writing that they aren't filling in some of those holes a little bit. Now, I assume we got to talk about the leaf, the trefoil leaf key that Pat and Fane.
Sure. Well, and here, let's hit this comment. Randall Moore says, I wonder if the trefoil leaf and a connection for an Ogier was the original plan for the ways, but they need a reason why Moraine can't reopen the gate. And I actually think this is probably part of that rewrite. Yeah. I do think the Matt thing threw a bigger, made it more problematic than maybe you would think.
Yeah, it had ripples further down the line, yeah.
I think there was probably some collateral to that. Here we have Charlie White. The showrunners love the books. There's no reason to include the color patches on Tom's coat or the Brigitte doll. Otherwise, what's your favorite Easter egg? Those are interesting. I'm hoping Brigitte isn't just an Easter egg, but more so just a little foreshadowing. But my favorite Easter egg is the Travels of Jane Farstrider, just because I love that there's an in-world best-selling book.
Yeah.
That everybody's heard of on a small continent where not everybody travels, but yet everybody's heard of the Travels of Jane Farstrider, and Jane is alive. So it's not even like he was dead 100 years ago. Like the dude's alive. Anyways, I like that.
I can't think of an Easter egg off the top of my head that I love, but I've found so many. I just, in this moment, my mind's going blank. I mean, I really do love the whole show. I feel like I'm not meaning to be so complainy about it.
Well, Loyal's Library, by the way, says thank you, Lauren, because you were defending Loyal, and I'm the evil one that wants to cut him, which I don't. But to answer your question, though, it's not. I don't feel like this. I think this is constructive criticism, in my opinion, because to me, like I said, this episode was an 8.5, but these are the reasons to me that it wasn't a 9 or a 10. And I want 9 or 10. We need some of those. Not every episode's going to be a 9 or a 10, but like I need some of those for people to like. I need an episode that I'm like, everybody goes to work the next day and they're like, oh my God, did you see that episode?
Yeah.
Right.
Although I got to say, one of my coworkers did text me right after watching it, and she was so shocked that Rand was the dragon. And to her, it was a big shock. And so again, it's hard for me to not see this through the eyes of a book reader. I mean, I actually quite liked that reveal of Rand. I just, like everything, I felt it was a little rushed, and I felt like it could have used a little bit more explanation or setup earlier on. But all in all, I was very happy with it, and I hope that we're done with the whole "Who is the Dragon Reborn" thing. I think there are still some people who aren't quite sure, and I like that. But by the end of this next episode, it better be very clear.
Sure. Let's actually watch this clip here, and then we'll talk about that.
Over here! I'll get you there. I'll get you to Nynaeve. Carrie? Carrie, it was so hot. I didn't mean to find her there, but I had to get away. Up the mountain, into the snow. He was crying. Dad. He was so tiny. What are you talking about?
That door is made of iron. With 3 men your size, can you break it down?
That mountain. I think I've seen it before. It's you. You've always known it's you. Deep down. No matter how fast or how far you run, you cannot escape your fate. You are the Dragon Reborn. You are the Dragon Reborn.
So, yes. I love it. I actually really liked this sequence. Because I think there were only a couple ways they were ever going to be able to actually, the way they had set this up, there's only a couple ways they were ever going to be able to reveal it. So, like, you know, they could have maybe basically showed Rand at the eye, but I actually like the payoff now, rather than getting to the eye and doing it. Because I think they're going to redo the Eye of the World. I think it's going to be play out. And I think that's one change that most book readers, I would say most, I'm not going to speak for everybody, are actually okay with. We all kind of assumed they were going to make the Eye of the World, or at least the sequence there, different from the books.
Right.
But I like that he had the self-realization that he kind of always knew. And I'll say this, this is something I've noticed by doing breakdowns of Eye of the World episodes, and, you know, obviously breaking down Wheel of Time for years. One of Rand's traits in the books is this. He's somebody that you tell the truth is right in front of him. And if he doesn't want to believe it, he will be the person to continually tell himself that it's not true, that it's not true. He does that in Eye of the World by Tam is my father. He is my father. Like, he does that stuff. And then later on, it's my fault. I did it. Like, yeah, I killed him, or those women are dead because of me. Like, he does these things until he finally has a realization that it wasn't what he thought, and then he gives into it. That's sort of what his arc repeats itself over and over again throughout the books.
Right.
This was very fitting to me for him to be kind of knowing it the whole time and denying it, and then I get it. Like, it's coming to me. I don't want my friends to die. Right? Moraine's made it very clear that if we go to the Eye of the World, they could die. So
right. I have a lot of things to say about this. I just wish that in the first episode we had seen 15 to 20 seconds of Rand with his father in the woods, hearing him mumble, laying him down like what, and then having him hand him the sword. And then we didn't have to see anything else. That alone to me would have helped to make this reveal that much stronger, because then it would have been like, oh, what was he saying in the woods? What is the significance of the sword? Like, to me, that would have been nice. That being said, I did like the reveal for the most part. I totally agree with you, your assessment of Rand. One of my favorite comments that I read from somebody was that Rand has had this inner denial since the beginning. He's been thinking it could be me, but I don't want to tell anybody. It's probably not. Maybe it's Matt. Just like in the book. But then he has that moment with Egwene, and she says, even if it's you, I'll stay by you. And that is when he finally accepts it. And I love that. I love that little detail, because that was his fear. That's why he was pushing Perrin away. That's why they had that awkward love triangle thing that wasn't really a triangle. It's because he was pushing his friends away, worried that it was him, worried that they would push him away. And so when she said that to him, it was like a sigh of relief for him. And then he went to Min, got the confirmation he already knew. And, now he's going to go do his duty. I don't think that we're going to 100% know it's him, though, because for the next 2 books, he's constantly doubting whether or not he's actually the Dragon Reborn. He's like, yeah, sure, I defeated that guy at the Eye of the World, but, and I think that, just like you said, that he's going to continue to have that cycle. Is it really true? Because as we know of the books so far, all of this setup to get to the Eye, they have a lot of false information. Now, it could be changed for the show, but they think that the Dark One is weak. They think that the Dark One is there and that they're going to be able to defeat the Dark One. They think that that's where the boar is, which maybe it is. Maybe they've changed it. Moiraine is sure she's going to die. And again, maybe she is. Maybe they've changed it, but we just don't know. But to me, there's a lot of unreliable narrator going on. And I think at the end of all of this, when they do defeat him, maybe Rand will be like, yeah, I defeated the Dark One, but I don't think I'm the dragon. I think it was all just a joke or something,
Let me hit some of these comments real quick. We had Alan Animate saying, everybody's saying that's the reveal. It's the reveal of when he knew, but the opening was the reveal. There's a meaningful difference. And I agree with that, although I think it's the real. I don't think that was the reveal at the opening for non-book readers, because I don't think they knew what to make of that right off the bat.
I think a few did notice the sword, but even then, I'm not sure that they paid attention.
Put it all together.
Yeah.
Village Mattress says, Unraveling the Pattern in Nae'Blis. I had lunch. I'm assuming lunch today. Hopefully, he didn't lynch anybody today. With my best friend from high school, and he thought Rand being revealed as the Dragon Reborn was a head fake. Thank you both for your great Watt content. I actually like that. I like that people are still speculating. And by the way, do you see this? People are talking about this show, by the way.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So cool.
I'll tell you guys what I was telling Lauren. My most viewed videos in the last month are not anything to do with the show. My most viewed videos are videos I made. Like right now, my top viewed video is my 4th video I ever made, and it is hot garbage, yet people still keep watching it. I even remade it better, and people aren't watching the new one. They're watching the old one. YouTube is funny, but
it's weird.
The point I'm making is there's a lot of new readers who want to go back and dive into lore content, and I love that. Aldan Mandracarmo, I think literally 90% of anyone's concerns could be fixed if they hired better editors. Some of the choices for what's in versus out are strange. I'm going to I agree with you on some of the editing. I really do. I don't necessarily want to totally chalk it up to better, because I don't know that's totally what it is. I think still the pandemic had a major role.
I agree. And I still think there's some meddling of people at Amazon or Sony. Like, at the end of the day, a TV show is made by hundreds of people, not one showrunner or one editor. There are so many cooks in the kitchen, and it's hard to blame any one element for things being the way that they are. But
yep,
I do agree that the editing, the pacing, something about it just feels a little rough. And that's why I'm saying I think they've learned from that and they'll improve in season 2.
Tangy. Rand's arc is one of acceptance. I totally agree with that. Sorry, I'm trying to get caught up on these comments here because I think you have another comment that I just passed too. There we go. They have no reason why it's not arrogant for Moraine to take an untrained bumpkin to the eye of the world, but it was for... They have a reason why it's not arrogant for Moraine to take an untrained bumpkin to the eye of the world, but it was for LTT and 100 Bros. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of misleading going right now too. I think Swan is being misled, and I think we're going to find that out. I want to do 2 things here. I need to do... It's shameless plug time for Tarval and After Dark. This is a regular occurrence here. I'm actually going to play you 2 things today. So Tarval and After Dark is the podcast that I do with Recapa Sadai from Wheel Talk and Jess from the Arm on Seat. It's sort of like a comedy / talking. We talk a lot about the show. We do commercials. So let me first go ahead and play you the commercial, and then I have another special thing to play you after that, and then we'll get into talking about next week. Here we go.
Are you afraid to enter the ways? Is the Black Wind a bummer for your travel plans? Do you think, yeah, I'd love to hop across the continent, but I don't want that trauma monster talking to me? Introducing earplugs. I said I make a big deal out of Machan Chin wanting you to be scared. They're overthinking it. With earplugs, you can travel the ways and ignore whatever you hear. Just listen to these happy customers.
When I first heard about earplugs, I thought, it can't be that easy. But it was! I traveled the ways with no issues. Sometimes when I felt the black wind around me, I was like, what, bitch? I can't hear you. What are you gonna do about it?
Earplugs. Because traveling the ways doesn't have to be so hard.
And here we go. In honor of Christmas time, you get a bonus Christmas themed segment here that you all get to listen to. This is my favorite Christmas poem for all of you. Here we go. 'Twas the night before Beltane, when all through the house, all the women were decked in their best Beltane blouse. The children were happy and hope filled the air, in hopes that the gleeman soon would be there. The family had eaten, everyone was fed, but it would not be long before they were all dead. As we sat around the fire, we heard a loud boom. We knew this Beltane we would meet our doom. The Trollocs they came in such a clatter, I could see the village green, covered in brain matter. People they ran, they screamed and yelled. I could not believe what I beheld. Trollocs were killing, eating everyone in sight. All I heard Mama say was, "They are coming, oh light!" The door came a-crashing, falling so quick. Trust me, this Trolloc was truly a dick. The Trolloc was tall, with the face of a bear. I tell you the truth, he gave quite a scare. He first ate little Tad while he was alive, which really sucks because he was only 5. Next came my wife, he put a gash in her belly. Then he ate her brains like a bowl full of jelly. The last thing I heard as the Trolloc ate my leg was the Murdral calling out as I began to beg. I heard him exclaim as I went to the light, "Happy Beltane to all and have a good winter night." If that doesn't cheer you up, I don't know what will. I mean,
a little bit of you just almost cracking up while reading that.
There's the shameless plug for Tarval and After Dark. We have a new episode, our Christmas episode. It drops tomorrow morning. make sure to download the podcast. We do a lot of bits like that. And then honestly, we have a lot of great conversations too. My co-hosts and I very rarely agree on anything, which makes it great to argue. So, Lauren, you need to come be a guest on our show.
Oh, that would be so fun. Brian is one of my favorite people that I don't really know in real life.
Well, you're going to meet him. You're coming to JordanCon, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so yeah, you'll meet us there. Okay, I want to play this. I want to play the promo that Amazon put out for next week, and then we'll have a couple minutes here to kind of hit on this. So here we go.
We're getting closer. The Dark One's strength is building.
The last battle is here. All 5 of you have a part to play.
I promise you, when your life's on the line, the power will be there.
The Wheel of Time, only on Prime Video.
Looks pretty epic. So
looks like maybe they saved some budget.
Right? Well, okay, so I didn't see these personally. But there were leaked things that came out that showed like some stuff from the last episode. Mm-hmm. And supposedly reactions from people who had seen those said, wow, it looks like they saved most of their budget for this episode, right? So this maybe is our Battle of the Blackwater. I don't want to go too crazy with it, like from a Game of Thrones reference here, but like maybe there's something to it because it does look fairly epic.
Yeah.
What are your predictions? What happens next episode?
Well, I gotta say the most surprising thing, and I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if I'm too loud in your speakers or something.
Here we go. It randomly does this where it makes me put my headphones on. Here we go.
Oh, it's okay. I was gonna say the surprising thing to me is that we see a shot of Matt, and I don't know if Matt will be in the episode or not. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get some scenes of him in Tar Valon. I don't know, but we did see him in the teaser. Now we've seen shots in some other teasers that never made it to the show.
Right.
Egwene in the paint is a big one, and I still don't know if we're going to see that in the next episode. But I kind of don't think we are. I don't know. It's hard to say. As far as the Tarwin's Gap and them thinking it's the last battle or whatever it is that they're talking about, it does look really epic to me. I'm very excited. I just want those fades to be smarter than just screaming sharp-toothed creatures. I hope that we get some like smart fade at some point.
I agree with that. I'm excited to see. I think that we are going to open the episode with the prologue.
I think so too. Well, I hope so. I think we're going to get more than just the prologue, though. I think we may get some of the politics because we know that what's her name?
Yeah, Latra Pose or
Dekun. Yeah. She was cast, right?
Yep.
So my hope is that we'll get a little bit more backstory. We'll find out really what happened with the first dragon. I also think that we'll probably get an Ishamael reveal of some sort. Mm-hmm. And so it would be a good way to do that, maybe.
Yep. Agreed. I think that'll be exciting. I'm really hoping, I said this on our podcast, I think that if they nail this episode, then there's going to be a ton of positive buzz about this season.
Yes.
Okay. If this episode is a dud, I don't think it kills the show, but I don't think that's the type of momentum that you want going into, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm really hoping, and they have a chance here to rewrite the ending of the Eye of the World with the blessing of Wheel of Time fans.
Right. Which they'll never get 100% blessing. Right. But another thing though is, and people all tend to agree, the Eye of the World's one of the worst Wheel of Time books. Not as a standalone story. It's great. There's a lot of things to love about it. But as the whole, as the entire series, the Eye of the World is pretty rough.
Yep.
The ending, as you mentioned, is confusing and weird and not even totally in line with the metaphysics that are established later. And so the fact that they have managed to get to this point is pretty exciting, considering in some ways they probably just adapted the hardest book to adapt in a lot of ways. So I'm very excited about that. But I have to agree with you. They need to keep people talking for a year.
Yep.
I hope they can do it.
Yep. And I'm hoping we have, I don't want to say like a crazy cliffhanger ending, but we need something that has me going, oh my God, I can't wait. If I don't leave the episode like, why can't they release the next step? Like,
Right.
then I'll be upset. So guys, yeah, with the last episode will come out here on Thursday evening. Now I will throw this up there. I am going to be another shameless plug, sort of. I am going to be on the Nerdist finale watch party on Twitter Spaces. I've never heard of this before, but I was invited to be on this, so make sure to tune in. It will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, this coming Thursday. Basically, I'm just going to be live reacting to the show while you all watch it with us, basically. So it's not like the normal tweet out live reactions. Like, I think there'll be a video element to this. So in any case, it's hosted by Nerdist. And yeah, there we go. So there's the plug for that.
Hey, congrats. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you. What any last thoughts from you? First of all, let me throw this up here again before I say any last thoughts from you. Make sure to subscribe to Lauren over at Unraveling the Pattern if you have not done so already. Makes awesome stuff. Honestly, you're missing out if you have not binge watched every video he's put out. So go do that.
Thank you. And I'm not going to be I'm sorry to say, but I'm not going to be releasing an episode breakdown of episode 7 before episode 8 comes out. I've managed to do it for every episode except episode 7. I'm just too busy with work. But I'm probably going to be doing a combo episode 7 and 8 video. But one of the things that I've really been enjoying is breaking down the show. I watch it through, make a bunch of mental notes, watch it through again, make a bunch of real notes, watch it through again, try to find Easter eggs, and then I start writing, and then I have to watch it 3 or 4 more times just to kind of do that. So it's been a really good exercise for me, just in learning how to really analyze things and break things down. And most people who watch my episode breakdowns agree that they really enjoy watching them leading up to the next episode. It kind of helps get them pumped up and excited. So I guess that's my little plug for my episode breakdowns. Thank you so much, Nae'Blis, for having me on. You've always been such a great support, and always love hanging out with you and talking Wheel of Time. I mean, what's better than that?
We'll have to do it more, and you're definitely going to have to come on Tarvalin After Dark. That'll be fun.
That'll be really fun. Yeah, I keep telling people, once the show's over, things will calm down a little bit. Get into next year, we'll start doing. I have literally 30 unread Discord messages that I've just been waiting to read because people probably think I'm ghosting them, but I just don't have the time, and I'm so sorry.
I feel that. I feel that. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Hey, everybody else, I will be hopping into Discord after this to chat a little bit. We usually do after these, so hop into Discord. If you don't know anything about Discord, you click the link in the description of the video that says Discord, and it'll download it for you, and then you can hop in voice chat. You don't have to talk. You can just listen to other people talk. But yeah, anyways, well, thank you, Grumpy. Talking what is the best thing about the show. Appreciate it, man. Hey, thank you all for coming on. Thank you, Lauren, and we'll see you soon. See you. Bye.
Thank you.